Hi guys, welcome. Danny here from the Magic Junk Drawer. So today I wanted to talk about a couple of things. First of all, I had a wicked Mandela effect happen to me the other day. And I wanted to start off with that. Growing up, one of my favorite shows was Family Ties. And I mean, till this day, my father and I still quote lines from that show. Like, I've seen it so many times, like it's programmed into my memory. And my father always says that my brother and I are definitely like Alex and Mallory Keaton, and we always laugh about it. Until this day, we still recite lines. Hey, this knick-knack is nicked. Pass me the sports page. I want to see how the Knicks are doing. Nick, what's a guy like you doing in a store like this? Putting the boxes back on the shelf, Mr. Keaton. Listen, I've watched this show so many times, and let me tell you, I still cannot listen to that song in this moment because it makes me cry because I think of when Ellen left for France. I know that in real life they actually got married and had 4 kids and have been married for like the last, I don't know, 100 years, but still, I still can't listen to that song. I turn it off every time it comes on because it makes me want to cry. And I don't need that. So the other day, I was bumming around like one afternoon and I was watching clips of Family Ties on YouTube. And I actually took a screenshot of one of them and I posted it on my page just to see if it looks funny to anyone else. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that or if I'm gonna get in trouble for it, but it's up there right now. Last I checked, it hasn't been removed and I haven't heard anything about me not being able to post that. But anyway, the opening logo that says Family Ties is in like a lime green, and I swear to God, I remember that logo being red. I remember it like a bold red color. I mean, the lime green looks so foreign to me. And this is a show that I watched. I mean, if I could catch it on now, and sometimes on TV Land it's on, I watch it every time because it just cracks me up. So I started to Google Family Ties logo because I thought maybe it's changed over the years. Maybe at one point it was red, but I can't seem to find red anywhere. So you guys let me know whether or not you remember that writing being in lime green, which looks totally funny to me, or red like this color red. Maybe a little bit darker, but that's what I remember. And it just looks so strange to me. So I was on someone's channel. For some reason, I think it was maybe Recall Vector's channel, and somebody had commented once that when they have one of these Mandela effects, it brings them back to like they feel like they've gone home to something. And I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I sort of understand that feeling. Like, for some reason, when I see something that reminds me, I don't know if I'm going to be able to explain this. I'm going to try my best. This is the way it feels to me. Something that has, like a residue or something that is from the past, reminds me of being very small, like very young, and living in the first house that I used to live in. Now, I don't know if it has something to do with the reality shifts, like they say, which sounds crazy to me. I mean, it really does sound a little bit nuts to me when people say things like changing realities and parallel universe. It sounds nuts even to somebody like me. But maybe there is. I mean, look, our minds are logical, and if things are not logical and don't fall into that logic, we tend to not believe it. But if you've ever had an experience, and this has happened to me before, where either you're dreaming of somebody or you wake up and you feel like that person is in the room, it feels very real. I know it sounds crazy, but it's very real at that moment. And it happened to me years ago when I was living in the house that I grew up in. I spent most of my years living there, from the time I was 5 until the time I was 19, 18 or 19. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and this is going to sound crazy, but I swear to God, I felt like John Lennon was in the room. And I've said it many times. I feel like I have this connection to England. I feel like I've had this connection to the Beatles. I grew up listening to them. They were like extensions of my family. Somehow, that's how I felt. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and I swear to God, John Lennon was in the room. I could feel him. And the first time it happened, I was like afraid to open my eyes because I really thought he was going to be standing there. And within seconds of my being awake, the radio played Imagine. Now, it's very possible that on the radio I heard the DJ say, oh, the dog, sorry. I heard the DJ say that John Lennon's Imagine was coming on, and in my subconscious mind, I felt it, so I woke up and I had anticipated it being on. Hey. So, I mean, that's very possible, but it was a very real feeling. It wasn't something that was like, it was very real. That's all I can say about it. And it happened to me more than once, and it's happened to me with more than one person. Let me get him some water. You want water, buddy? Come on, let's get some water. Come on, I'm trying to do something here. All right. Here, have some water. Okay, so the shifting realities thing, here he goes again. It's very unbelievable to me, but even law of attraction people tend to think that that is possible. Here, you want the water on that side? You're not making this easy for me, Dylan. Here, come on. Oh, Dylan, please. Here. So I'm not really sure how I feel about the whole reality shift thing. I like to think of it this way. If it's something that is possible and we are able to change realities, well, then how amazing would that be that you can change your reality and you can make anything that you want happen, right? Like, that's pretty cool. Our logical minds don't really buy into that because it just seems really crazy and really out there. But I like to think that anything, and maybe anything is possible. And in that case, I mean, use it to your advantage. So some of the other things that have come up, one of my friends and I were having this conversation, and once again, everything always goes back to your own belief. So we were talking about jobs and just in general, the beliefs that we have about our jobs or that we've had in the past. And he and I used to work together, so we have a lot of similar experiences. And I also think that when it comes to like anxiety and things like that, we're very similar. Like, we've suffered from it. We know how debilitating it can be. So we were talking about like just different beliefs. So let's just say, for an example, you have this belief. Like, I have had this belief my whole life. There are different rules for different people. I believe that. Like, I believe that what one person can get away with, another person can't. And I'm going to give you an example. I worked for a company for many years, and the human resources woman hated my guts. I mean, this woman, for whatever reason, hated me. And it was a company joke. When I first got hired there, I was hired by the guy who was going to be my boss, and he said to me, "We have no dress code. There's no dress code here. We don't like concert t-shirts, and we don't like ripped jeans, but basically anything else is okay." And I was young at the time. I was like maybe, it was in my early 20s, very early 20s. So I remember wanting to be professional or wanting to look nice. You know, I'd come from working at A&P where I had to wear a stupid smock and a dumb outfit, and I wanted to look nice. Like, I wanted, to get dressed up when I went to work. So I used to wear, like, most of the time I tried to wear outfits that I could wear to both A&P end this job because it was just easier for me not to have to change in between. It's a pain in the ass to change clothes in between in the middle of the day. So I used to wear a lot of like long skirts, whatever. I used to wear a lot of sundresses. And what happened was one day my boss wasn't in. And I got an email from the human resources woman saying that I was violating the company dress code policy because I was wearing a tank top. And I wasn't wearing a tank top. What I was wearing it was like a boat neckline, like it was cut across here and it had no sleeves. It was a sleeveless top. It wasn't a tank top. This, my dear, is a tank top, okay? It wasn't this. Now, what happened was, of course, I got very defensive in the beginning because I was like, this woman just wants to attack me because she can. Hang on here, 1 second. Dylan, I want it stopped now. You had everything that you need, and we're not going to do this anymore, okay? Let me finish. So I got very defensive and, whatever. And I don't remember what came of it. I think I just never wore that shirt again. And the funny thing is that was not a new shirt. It was an old shirt. It was a shirt that I wore with several different long skirts. So for whatever reason, she noticed it on that day. She wanted to be big man that day when my boss wasn't in. I don't know what the problem was. But anyway, that was the first time it happened. And then as time went on, it was coming up on my reviews that I was in constant violation of the dress code. My skirts were too short, my this, my that. It's like he never even noticed what I was wearing. I could have been there in a hula skirt and a coconut bra and he wouldn't have noticed, or I could have been in a garbage bag and he had no idea. So I was so upset by this that I said something to my father. My father was like, listen, don't upset yourself. Just start dressing, more dumpy or whatever. More dumpy or whatever. So that's what I did. I started wearing like floor length muumuus because I was just like so frustrated with this. And not to mention that I was never overly friendly or flirtatious with anybody in the place. So there was no reason for me to ever be with anybody in the place. So there was no reason for me to ever be in trouble with I wasn't like the office flirt by any means. Like I did what I had to do and I was friendly, but that was it. I mean, I was never like, did what I had to do and I was friendly, but that was it. I mean, I was never like, I was always in a relationship with somebody that wasn't working there, unlike some other people that were, intermingling. But like I said, there are rules for some people and there are rules for other people. So as time had gone on, years later, another woman came to work with us who happened to be like model beauty. Like she was like 5'10", in killer shape. She looked to me like Cindy Crawford. And this girl could wear whatever she wanted and she never got in trouble. And it even became a joke. Like she would purposely wear a short skirt and a tank top and go in and ask if she was dressed appropriately. And the human resources woman would tell her that she looked nice. And it was like, and she was doing it on purpose because she was my friend and she knew. And it was like, it was so obvious that this woman, for whatever reason, hated me. And then we got down, like right before they let me go, I was teaching yoga and I was wearing black leggings a lot of the time because I could wear them to teach, I could wear them to A&P, and I could wear them to this job, or so I thought. And then a memo came around that yoga pants were no longer allowed. But here was the thing. They were only yoga pants when they were on the yoga teacher. When anybody else wore them, they were leggings. So, and it's like, it was laughable. Like so many people had sent me text messages and emails knowing that this was deliberately done because this woman didn't like me and that memo was written for me. The point is that I have this belief that there are different rules for different people, and this shows up in my life over and over again. Over and over again, it shows up in my life that what one person can get away with, another person will not get away with. And I've said it a million times, I'll never get away with that, and I don't. So it goes back to the same thing when it comes down to your job. If you think that your boss doesn't appreciate you, he doesn't. Listen, I don't go for any of this bullshit where people are like, oh, I really appreciate you. You really appreciate me, but your actions are showing me that you don't. So don't give me that, okay? Like, you have to speak with your actions, not with your words. And that's one thing that really fires me up when I hear people say things like, oh, you're so appreciated. Oh, I appreciate you so much. But meanwhile, your actions are showing me that you don't appreciate me and that you don't care. So it's very hard to change that belief. So if I have this belief that what this woman will get away with, I'll never get away with, the reality is going to keep showing me that because that's what I believe. And that's what continued to happen. And like I said, I mean, it became really funny after a while because it was so blatant and so obvious. But for whatever reason, that's how it was. And my reality kept proving me right. But there we go. It was my belief. It's not that I ever believed that this woman liked me. I never believed that this woman and I would be friends. We weren't. Like, we were just two different people, and she just didn't like me. And then what happens to me is when I get that vibe that someone doesn't like me, then I'm even less friendly. I even have less to do with them because I feel awkward, and I just, I feel like, like, yeah, I'm not going to change somebody's point of view. So I just kind of back away from that person. And I very much allowed myself to be victimized by that situation because I always felt like I was wrong, and I wasn't wrong because at the end of the day, I could have gone in there in a concert t-shirt and ripped jeans, and I still would have done my job, and it still would have been done right with very little mistakes, if any. And I would have went home, to my outside boyfriend that had nothing to do with the company. Is that, so what was the difference? It was somebody was making waves because they had the power to, and I was allowing it because I was allowing myself to be victimized by the situation because I knew that this woman didn't like me. And that was a belief that I held. And it was also something that made me feel very awkward, extremely awkward, but I allowed it. Nobody can make you feel that way without you allowing them to. Somebody else would have had the attitude of, hey, fuck you, I don't care. And I was here first, and this is my job, and this is how but I wasn't like that. The older I get, I'm getting a little bit more like that, but I wasn't back then when I was in my early 20s. So very interesting, and it's very interesting the roles that we take on. So if you're believing that your boss doesn't appreciate you, or you're believing that your partner doesn't appreciate you, or you're believing that your parents don't appreciate you, or your children, or whatever, you are going to continue to prove those situations to you. And if you don't believe it, look back into your past. Look back into your past and see how many times you've proven yourself right. Did you ever once prove yourself wrong? No. You never did. You were always right. The people that didn't appreciate you always proved to not appreciate you. And the people that did appreciate you, well, that was a different experience. So it was very, very interesting when people tell me that they don't believe in the law of attraction, only because we prove it to ourselves constantly. Constantly, we prove it to ourselves. Constantly. Like, I have people that will text me for a reading, right? And they'll say something like they're worried about a third party, or they think that, somebody else is doing something shady. And then they go looking for it and they find it. They prove themselves right. And then the question is, well, why does this always happen to me? You're programmed to believe it's going to happen to you. That's why it keeps happening to you. You keep proving yourself right. You keep proving yourself right that the guy down the street and the girl down the street are better than you. You keep proving yourself right because that's what you believe. And that's what keeps showing up. And that's what these people keep proving to themselves. And it's the same thing with everything. I feel, though, like sometimes it's just a little bit more difficult to change the way you believe when it deals with a person that you're so closely involved with. So say it's your boss and you really feel like your boss takes advantage of you. It's hard to change that belief because it's something that's so deep inside you. So what do? I intend for my boss to treat me with respect. I intend for my boss to truly appreciate me. I intend for my boss to show their appreciation for me. And you just keep saying it. Every time you have that negative thought, you turn it around. And what else is funny is that people that believe in karma, or like I have a woman who she takes my classes sometimes, and every time I give a law of attraction scenario at the end of the class, she will after class give me the Bible verse that it's in the Bible. She'll be like, oh, this is what they said in Matthew whatever, and she writes it down for me, and she's like, you can look it up in the Bible. So it's in the Bible, it's people that believe in karma, it's in this religion, in that religion. Hey, stop. But yet, we don't want to believe in the law of attraction and that it works. Even in the Bible, God says that He created man in the image of Himself. So He created us to work like He did, but yet we don't believe that we can do it. You know, and when you say that the imagination doesn't work, I mean, somebody had to imagine the light bulb. Somebody had to imagine the iPhone. Someone had to imagine the pineapple lamp that looks like a mini sun. Like somebody had to imagine these things. You have to imagine it first, and then it comes into your reality. And if you don't believe it, look around you. I mean, look around you. Hey, stop barking. What is the problem with this guy today? What's wrong, Dylan? What are you looking for? Well, anyhow, that's pretty much it. That's all I really wanted to discuss today was that Mandela effect, that if you oh my God, Dylan! God, sorry. I mean, the thing really went flying that time. Dylan, please, let me get him some food maybe. I don't know what he wants. Come on. I can't have you do this, Dylan. I'm trying to be on live camera. You know, come on. The Mandela thing, I have a picture of it on my, it's on the YouTube. It's just a picture, and you can comment below if it looks foreign to you, because it looks so crazy to me. And then the law of attraction thing. If you've had these experiences, or if you're trying to change a belief. The other thing that I have happening right now that I'm going through is my phone wasn't working great this morning. I was having trouble with some of the letters. It seems to be working okay now, so I'm going to hold off on replacing it. But I'm at this crossroads here with my relationship with my car. My car, I leased. It was a 4-year lease, and the lease is going to be up the lease is really up at the end of June. But they offered me something if I return it early, but I'm way over the mileage, and it would cost me, if they charge me for the mileage, it would cost me an arm and a leg. But I don't know if they're looking to unload another one since they're discontinuing this car. If they're trying to unload them, maybe I could get a new one and they would forgive the mileage. I don't know. So anyway, that's like the next crisis that I'm dealing with, whether or not I'm going to turn my car over to a finance and keep it, which it's got a lot of miles on it, but I don't know. So the next thing, that's my next thing that I'm dealing with. And I'm going to have to deal with the dealership sometime this week, which I am not looking forward to, because you know how, I mean, salespeople, I could never be a salesperson. I could never be a salesperson because I'm just not pushy enough. But I also feel like when it comes to saying no, I have a hard time saying no, but I'm not in the position right now where I want any of my payments to go up. I'm looking for my payments to go down. So that's where I'm going to lead, because it was 4 years ago. Like, I think I picked my car up on July 1st and A&P went bust on July 19th. Like, that was my timing. Like, if I had timing like that where I could hit the lotto, like, who would have thought that a company that was around 156 years was going to go bust 2 weeks after I signed the lease on a new car? I would have kept my old one. I would have kept my old Beetle. But I wound up getting a new one because the old one, I mean, it had like 156,000 miles on it or whatever, and I was getting nervous it wasn't going to make it through the winter, and I don't know. It was like time for me to move on. I had that car for 9 years, but now this car I've only had for 4 years, and That's my next dilemma. And I know everybody you talk to has got a different opinion. People that lease love leasing because they get to turn the car in and get a new one every year or every 3 years or whatever it is. I personally don't like the idea of locking myself into a payment for the rest of my life. And that's what happens when you lease because you're always going to have to pay it. You never pay it off. But on the other hand, by the time I pay this car off, it'll probably be a heap of metal and like oil. The rate I'm going. So I don't know. And then the thing is that I can't take it somewhere else because I still owe Volkswagen for it. Yeah, but if I get another one from them, this will be the third car that I bought from them. So maybe they'll, help a bitch out. It's good. I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to use the law of attraction to get what I want out of this dealership. I just have to figure it out first, what I want. All right, I'll let you know what happens. If you like what we're doing here at the Magic Junk Jar, don't forget to like and subscribe. Share us with your friends. I think there's coconut oil on the lens here. So funny. Somebody once commented that I was using too much filter and they couldn't see the rock. They were like, less filter. And I was thinking, I don't even know how to use a filter. If there's anything that you're seeing, it's definitely smeared coconut oil on the lens because everything I own has got coconut oil on it. Because it's my remedy for everything. It's like my big fat Greek wedding when he uses Windex. I use coconut oil for everything. You have an issue. There is not an issue in this world that coconut oil can't fix. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, if you like what we're doing here at the Magic Junk Jar, try to get approved for a Volkswagen today. You are. Oh God, good. I hope that you're getting an awesome one. What are you gonna get? I hear they're bringing back the bus. I totally don't need a bus, but it would be really cool to have one. You'll get approved. They want to get rid of these cars. Oh, cool. That's a nice car. I had one once when they were doing something to my last Beetle. I think it needed, here's the story. The transmission used to slam. And every time I had a passenger in the car, they would be like, what's going on with the transmission? It's like slamming. And I would go into the Volkswagen place. I even brought one of the guys that I worked with because I felt like he had a Passat and he knew them and he was like, listen, there's something wrong with this transmission. It slams, like the gears slam. Shifting from like second to third, it used to slam. And they were like, no, 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 it's fine, it's fine. And for years, every time I went in and I complained about it, they told me it was fine. So finally, one day, I get a letter in the mail that there's a recall on the transmission. Anyhow, so while they had the car where they were replacing the transmission or whatever they were doing, they gave me a Passat. And the Passat was a beautiful car. It was just a little bit too big for me. I felt like it was a little bit too much for me to drive. But that they gave me, and I think they gave me a Jetta once. And then the last time when the window broke, they gave me something that was like a big station wagon, and I was like, oh my God, I can't drive this big car. Like, I feel like driving the bus would be easier because it's up high. I think that like driving like the station wagon-y kind of one, I don't know what it's called. Like I was low and it was like a big thing. I don't know. I don't know. I just felt like it was too much for me. I did like that it had all-wheel drive, but I had it like way before it was going to start snowing. I'm not a snow driver. I hate driving in the snow. I have snow tires on my car and I'm still afraid. And to be totally honest, the Beetle actually handles really well in the snow. There has only been like one or two times that I've ever even felt myself skid even a little bit in it, but I'm a nervous Nelly. Anyway, good luck with the new car. You're gonna get it. I hope you get a fun color. What color are you gonna get? Well, when you get it, post it below. Congratulations, and we'll throw some change. Throw some change in the back of it. Black. Oh, black is nice. The only two colors that they have at the dealership now, I think it's like a funny kind of tan color and like a white color because I don't think they're getting anything else in because they're discontinuing them. And I'm not real crazy about either of those colors. I mean, I had a white car before and I feel like, I don't know, after a while the white starts to look like dingy or like kind of like yellowy. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of white. And the tan color or whatever color it is kind of ugly, but you know what they always say, well, you're not driving the color, you're driving the car. Like, do you want a reliable white car or do you want, another color and then it might break down? And then what good is it, right? Anyway, good luck with the new car. And I hope that they don't give you the keyless one. I wouldn't let them give me the keyless one because I feel like there's too much room for error with the keyless. Like if I need to have a key, then I want to have a place to put the key. I mean, when they gave me that station wagon thing, when I got to my destination, I couldn't figure out how to shut it off because I didn't have a key to turn. And I was like, oh my God, please tell me that I'm going to be able to figure this out. And luckily I spotted the button. I think there was a button that shut it off. But I feel like there is definitely a chance for me to like get in the car while it's running, leave the key in the house, go someplace, not have the key. Like I feel like there's a lot of room for error. Like for my front door, yeah, they gave me the key from my last Beetle. I wouldn't let them give me that. Um, like I don't have a key for my front door, but I don't ever need a key. I put a code in and that's it. If I needed a key, to hold the key in my hand and put the code in, then why not just put the key in the door? Like I feel like being a creature of habit and driving for all these years and having to use a key, and now all of a sudden you need to have the key but you don't need it to start the car. You need to put it in the coffee cup holder. I mean, I don't know, I don't understand it. Sometimes I feel like we're getting too technical and it's just not necessary. Anyway, good luck with the new car and let me know what happens if you get it. You'll get it. You'll get it because they want to sell it. All right, if you like what we're doing here at the Magic Junk Drawer, don't